The loving in my heart won't break in two. I never wanna say that we are through. I'm holding on to what we still have left. And yeah, you know me. The love I give is the love I got. So don't walk away. Don't you see it all just to watch it fade away. Just to watch it fade away. Fade away. The loving in my heart won't break in two. I never wanna say that we are through. I'm holding on to what we still have left. And yeah, you know me. The love I give is the love I got. So don't walk away. Don't you see it all just to watch it fade away. Just to watch it fade away. The loving in my heart won't break in two. I never wanna say that we are through. I'm holding on to what we still have left. And yeah, you know me. The love I give is the love I got. So don't walk away. Don't see it all just to watch it fade away. Just to watch it fade away. Just to watch it fade away. Watch it fade away. And yeah, you know me. The love I give is the love I got. So don't walk away. Just leave it all just to watch it fade away.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the British Cycling Southwest Series 2, Round 3. Welcome back, Moti. Another
Good
week, and we're back again.
Evening. We're back in the centre of the England, the heart of the country, for a beautiful night, which it is here in Geordieland, that's for sure.
So, where are we in the virtual world this week, Moti? Tell us where we are.
This week we are in London Town. This is the greatest flat route. So this is a relatively one of the flatter routes on Zwift. So today it's the turn of the fast fatties to show their thing after last week the skinnies managed to throw it around Yorkshire for a couple of laps. So we've got a really quite flat route here, and there's only about 163 metres of climbing in this route altogether. Most of that climbing is through the Richmond Park area with a little bit of deer action, a little bit of wildlife, and a bit of trees as well. It's a lovely little route. So the actual course itself, we've got 2 laps today, so that's going to take us about 55 kilometres worth of racing, and I reckon this will take the front group around about 1 hour 10, so that's quite a long race actually, and the D group will take about 1 hour 40, and the B's and C's somewhere in between. So this course itself is really very, very fast, and I'm expecting to see a peloton that's going to be lasting for a long part of the ride, because there are very few places to attack. The only real place to attack in this early bit is the rise up to the Trafalgar before you actually start the lap for real. But I'm fairly sure we'll see some of the strong guys really push on to try and break that front pack up. The other places are in the suburban hills, also in the country park itself, where there's a little rise that goes on for a couple of minutes, and that's a great way to split the pack. I think we'll probably see a devastating attack up the suburbs as well, up the escalator just leading out of the subway. I'm fairly sure someone will throw a devastating attack there. Hopefully it'll be on the second lap and liven up the finish. But I'm fairly sure we'll see pods of riders developing as people break off. I'm fairly sure that people will gather up together again, and let's see how many people in the front group last for the whole 2 laps. But I'm just one thing, Liam. I can see you wearing sunnies there. What's all that about?
Well, Moti, see, you wouldn't know about this up in Geordieland, but down here in the beautiful southwest, it's been 30 plus degrees, and all these guys, you know, they're all in their garages and whatnot, and I know some of them watch us, you see, and I just want them to feel like, you know, we're suffering as well. So I've got my glasses on because it's so bright, and I just want them to feel like they're not missing out. So, you know, keep on going, lads, keep on going.
I like it how you kind of...
I could take them off now. Thanks for noticing, Moti. Thanks for noticing.
Well, it's actually beautiful. It's beautiful up here as well in Geordieland. It's beautiful, beautiful sunshine, and it's been quite nice out on the bike commuting back and forwards to work today. So I can certainly feel it for these lads today out there, and lasses for that matter.
Absolutely, and Moti, I tell you what, I take my hat off to all of them. 30 plus degrees. It's going to be hotter in their pain caves. And look, we've got an attendance of 59 here in the A group. And as you can see, just as you said, we are approaching that right-hand bend with the slight elevation. Be interesting to see if anyone does make an attack off the front. But Ladies and gentlemen, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So feel free to get involved in the chat. Lots of chat already coming on. Support from Sadie Jones for Aled Jones. Sadie's been tuning in every week, Moti. So great to see that. And also, Moti, we've had some fan mail.
No way.
Yeah, we've had fan mail. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Babbage, who you've taken a very much of a shine to, they sent in a photo for us. Yeah, they've been working in their paint case, and they just said that they love everything you do, Moti. Big fans of you, and they've sent you a message, and they've kissed it, and they just, I've got that for you, so I'll send it up.
Excellent. Is that the best side of the Babbage? Is it the Babbage's best side? Excellent. I like that. I was expecting to see some beautiful romantic meal of the date night that they had a couple of weeks ago. You know, I thought the Babbages would have been out there in the sunshine today having a bottle of fizz, but no, they're in here in the paint caves, just about to smash it up this climb up to Trafalgar. Let's see what goes on here. Let's see if the explosives start to happen early.
Absolutely, yeah. And we were watching Blake Pond at the front here. 407 watts as he goes up the front. 157 beats per minute, so they are getting that draft benefit sat in, but as you can see, the attacks now coming forward. Let's see who else we've got here today. So we've got Aled Jones. Aled Jones, oh, that's not Aled Jones. Can't catch him, Moti. Can't catch him. There he is. Aled Jones was a great supporter of Series 1, back here for Series 2, so a great to see Aled out here. We've also got Ben Miller from Team Tour. So he took the win last week, Moti. Have we got the GC standings at all, or where we stand in the results?
Ben did take the win last week, and he actually came from it. He was kind of one of the unknown favourites, and we didn't actually pitch Ben as a possible winner till last week, which was really very rude of us. So because of Ben's win last year, that takes him up into third place. Travis, with his beautiful flat cap, still leading the ride. They're still leading the A group league table at the moment. I'm fairly sure he'll have a block of ice under that flat cap tonight. Blake Pond, with a superb performance last week to take second, moves up into second place, and there's only 5 points splitting the front three riders in the A League at the moment, and that seems to be all the way down the other leagues as well. The B is very, very close, with Dan Kay leading the Bs and Paul Brandfield close in second. Phil Lay and Tim Andrews top two in the C's. Joe Whitnell, who had a very good race beforehand but didn't ride so well last week, and the D's seem to be kind of picking up smaller points, but that's a really, really tight league. And the women, Emma Cockcroft smashed it again last week, so she's currently 10 points ahead of Ruth, Mrs. Babbage herself, in the ladies series. So it's still lots and lots and lots to play for, Liam.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really, we've only one more week, a couple more weeks to go. We've just got Rider Cam on, Moti. Charlie's there, slaving it away. We're watching him as well on game, so great to see Charlie getting involved in Rider Cam. Thanks for getting on the cam. And look at him. He doesn't look like he's enjoying himself, Moti. He looks hot. I mean, I haven't got air conditioning in here, but I'm not on the bike, and fair play.
Well, that heat's going to play a big part today, so who can hack it at the front? So with the core temperature already very high with that 30 degrees that they've got down in the southwest, as the riders exercise, that core temperature will only go higher and higher and higher. The body will desperately try to get that core temperature down by trying to divert all the blood from the muscles to the skin to try and cool the skin down. What we will see because of that is probably some reduced maximum heart rates, but certainly a reduction in performance for some of these riders. So really it is very much down to which one of these riders is acclimatized to this heat, who can hack it, and who's managed to keep the core temperature as cool as possible. So has anybody got a nice vest on? Who's got some ice in the drinks? Anybody got a nice ice cooled headband that I think I would be wearing for sure? But we'll see if Charlie having a few drinks there, so it's important that we can see these guys hydrate as they go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would have found that a lot of these guys and girls would have been hydrating all throughout the day as well. So it's, we don't want the lactic acid to get in. So they would have been knowing that they're going to be, sweating tonight, truthfully, with the efforts. So yeah, hydration, very, very important today. And certainly from a nutritional side as well. I expect they've all had a couple gels, etc. But as we can see, Moti, the pace is going to be high on this course today. It's going to be consistently high. And definitely with the, that section we've just gone through, and as we make our way round to the link road, as I call it, in over the Richmond Park section, but we can see there's a group of 5 riders off the back, Moti, so he's already dropped 5 riders from this front group. Great to see Emma Cockcroft here in the front, mixing it up and doing very, very well in the women's side of the tournament.
Absolutely, considering that Emma's extremely light, in comparison to these guys, and this kind of course really favours the bigger guys, the guys who are really powerful to be able to punch up these little tiny little climbs and be able to sustain good watts in the pack. What is interesting is that these average wattages that we're seeing out there today aren't quite as high as what we've seen in previous races, and I wonder if this is a little bit of trepidation with the riders, whether it's the heat that's having an impact, and that's probably one of the reasons why Emma's able to stick with them, because as a lighter rider, she will find it difficult to hold this power, but she's doing extremely well at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as we can say, this is probably the most we've seen. Actually, the bunch is all compact inside. So on Swift, if you're not familiar with it, there are drafting algorithms. So just like riding outside, when the rider's on the front and there's one sits behind to form a drafting or a peloton, there is a drafting benefit outside in real life, and we do get this in game. So you will see the riders staying on the back just to gain that benefit. As we can see, we've got a slight attack off the front now, Moti.
And who's that going off?
Just making it up front, 7.1 watts per kilogram. So very, very, very ambitious to go off here so early on, but maybe just trying to cause some damage in behind. And Holden as well, Moti, 407 watts, 177 beats per minute. So heart rate has definitely gone up there. And as we can see, the riders behind not really worrying too much. I don't think they're too worried about letting one go, but it's a long way to go to do that attack now. But as we can see, Charlie's now chasing that down on the front of this group. Let's put the rider cam back on and just take a little look at Charlie. See that effort going in?
Yeah, this is an interesting place to have an attack, because a lot of people don't realise that this is a very slight false flat. So it starts at 1%, goes up to 2%. So a lot of riders, and this kind of section of the course has caught me out quite a few times as the pace starts to increase a little bit. So it's not a bad place to attack, to be fair. It will stretch things out. I don't think he'll stay away, but it certainly will make the group work to get back to him. And there's a little bit of a downhill section now before they go uphill. So he will be caught, but they will have to work to do it.
Well, as we just pan up there on the helicopter shot, we can just see that it is stringing the bunch out behind, and a few dangling off the back now. So great to see, great to see that attack coming in from St. Pyrenees, holding it on the front there, and like I say, Charlie's chasing that back, but I do think they are going to get back together, Moti.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Sam Perrin need to really start to kind of up the game this race, because currently they're lying ninth in the team standings. So I think this might be one of these races where they want to kind of try and make their stand. Currently, Exeter Wheelers are leading ahead of Tour 2000. And we can see there's plenty of Exeter Wheelers in this front group already, and the usual Tour 2000. So I think that's going to be a bit of a battle at the top. But Sam Perrin have got something to prove today, so maybe that's why they're starting to liven the race up from the very start.
We're currently watching Dan Costello from Mid Cornwall Cycling Club, and we've got support coming out from him, from Jamie Williams cheering him on. So great to see the support out here for the riders. Certainly do get involved, cheer them on, because they are listening. They definitely do need a ride on. Or if you open up the companion app on your phones, if you are a Swift user, and find the rider, give them a ride on. Get the blue tick above their head. They'll definitely want to be seeing that.
Absolutely, that can add such a lot of encouragement to you during a race. It's just seeing that little blue tick just land on your back, snuzzle itself in the pocket. It's completely weightless, so it has no impact at all on your ability to draft and climb. But it just looks very cool as your pocket bulging with little blue thumbs.
Absolutely. Who's got the most? Who's got the most? We'll have a little look in. We'll see we'll count them up, and we'll have a little look. But as we see, we're coming back round now, making our way to the section where we're gonna it gives it a free. Like Moti was saying, there aren't many sections on this course for there to be a break or anything, but when they are, you got to take advantage of them.
Absolutely, and there's a tiny little rise coming up here, so I reckon again, if somebody's got a bit of bravery just to kind of push it off the run, that'll stretch the group out again, and there's a little bit of a recovery before you go downhill. So just as we're coming up to this corner on the right hand side, there's a little incline, not quite as steep as the one up to Trafalgar, but enough to actually stretch the group out, and then it quickly turns left to go down the hill. So if anybody's brave enough to try and stretch this group out again, we might see a few riders dropping off the back.
Let's just take a little look at Swift Power. Like you said, Moti, we haven't really got that much from the sort of power outputs that we've seen over the previous few weeks. So I think the riders know that they're in for a long one today. They know that it's hot. They have to conserve their energy. But look, we're seeing there around the low level 4s to 4.5s, and by this time on the other races previous, we've been really pushing the 5 watts per kilogram. So definitely to see if there's tactics in play. Are they going to string it out over over that section through Richmond Park, or they got 2 attempts? So it's be interesting to see what the riders are planning to do.
Absolutely, it is a long race. This is now probably an hour and 10 plus, looking at the pace that they're holding at the moment. So maybe they are just conserving their energy, trying to keep themselves hydrated, not kind of going all out in the first lap, seeing what they've got for the second lap, and then maybe as this rider starts to tire, we might see a few more tacks going up. But Ollie Blagden seems to be pushing it on again.
Yeah, Ollie Blagden is just chasing down Oscar Hutchins. Oscar Hutchins from Team Tour 2000 has just is taking that ever so slight rise just to take the advantage to go up, and Blagden's straight on his wheel again. And as we can see from this shot, the peloton are fast closing up behind. So peloton definitely staying there together. As we said before, there is a draft effect in the peloton, and the peloton, as they move faster, they will be able to move at a higher speed collectively than if it's only one or two breaking away, and if they can't sustain a heavy attack. But as we see, Oscar Hutchins swallowed up there by the pack now and into the back. And as we can see, Ruth Babbage, we're just watching Ruth Babbage at the back, so great to see Ruth out here. Or it could be Richard, actually. Richard Babbage, I expect, in this one. So we got Gary Chambers from Navy Cycling, so great to see a lot of the teams out here. Let's just have a little look at the team list. But there we go, Moti. Look at all those teams on screen. Loads and loads of teams. So thanks for getting involved, everyone, and certainly out here today. It's been a great Series 1. Again, over halfway through Series 2 now. So great to see and great to have all your support out here.
Oh yeah, the turn-up's been brilliant. Every week has been really good, and it's really good to see several riders from each team putting out a good number of riders. And so the representation's been really, really good, and it really does just show how much Zwift has grown as a platform. This lockdown probably has had an impact as well, but I think people are starting to realise the benefits of the training with this, and I wouldn't be surprised if a few of these riders are actually really enjoying some of their outdoor time at the moment with increased power because of some of the work that they're doing on Zwift at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this all started off because of the lockdown scenario. Charlie approached he said, can you put some rides together? So we're hosting these from 3R, Ride, Race and Raise. Check us out on Facebook, Team 3R. We host a lot of races and group-led rides on Zwift for all levels and all throughout the day, every day. So do check us out and get involved. But yeah, like I say, Series 1 was very much supported from the southwest region of British cycling. Every rider from all scales, because Zwift is accommodated. So we got A Cat, which is for the faster riders, and B, C, and D, all the way going down. So everyone's welcome, and it is a level playing field. And for Series 2, Moti, we have announced it before, but I do like to give a little drum roll every time, Moti. Can you give us a drum roll, Moti? Have you got a desk? Give us a drum roll. Oh, we can't hear that, but I'll pretend I can hear it. I can pretend I can hear it. But we do have
such a shame
sponsored prizes for Series 2, Moti. Give us a woo. Give us a woo.
Woo!
Woo! Here we go. Here we go. So prize list. So for every first place throughout the category, so A Cat, B Cat, C Cat and D Cat, Callas have very kindly put up a jersey. So thank you very much. And in second place, White Lake award-winning cheese selection. Have you had your cheese arrive yet, Moti? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting.
No, I haven't had my cheese. I'm still waiting for my cheese. I'm still waiting for something. When I have my cheese, I will bring it, and I will bring it in front of the camera so you can savour the cheese.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for my cheese. I don't think there's been any agreement that we're getting cheese, but I'm just going to hope that we get some cheese. And in third place, we've got Colliford Cycles, the filling station. Kath are kindly putting up a £20 voucher. So thank you very much to Colliford Cycles for doing that. It is very, very, very generous. And the riders certainly do appreciate it. And I think that's the only reason why they're all racing at 30 degrees in their garages or in their garden sheds.
I think you're probably right. I think it's the cheese that's doing it, to be fair. Although saying that, I have had a look at those colours jerseys, and they are beautiful jerseys, to be fair. There's a good selection of jerseys there, so it'll be interesting to see which one Callas are putting up. But had a look, so yeah, but cheese is definitely what they're all racing for, without a shadow of a doubt.
I think it's the cheese, Moti, but we can't say that. But I think it's the cheese. There we go. We're on Rider Cam with Charlie, watching Charlie. Just cruisily rolling along here, 139 beats per minute, 346 watts. I think you can see himself on screen, though. He's kicked a little bit. Yeah, he's just flicked his hair. He's not got the he's not got the blonde the Blake Pond hair product, but he's giving himself a little flick of the hair. And because he's looking at the screen so much, Mo, he's falling out the back of the group. So we better get off cam. We better leave Charlie to it.
It's the hair. That's what does it. That hair just has to be right, doesn't it? Has to be right with Blake.
Absolutely. But we're watching Josh Gray here from Team Tour 2000 as well. A lot of the Team Tour guys out again in force, Moti. I think they're here for the team prize.
Yeah, Tour 2000 were very strong last time, in the Exeter Wheelers are running them this time, so they've got the workout out. Got the workout out as well. But you wonder if anybody's actually going to be brave and just have a little team move, have a little cheeky one, just liven this race up again, or whether it's going to just sit in the pack, cruise along, people conserve their energy, and go for the attack somewhere in Richmond Park. But it would be great to see one of the teams actually send a few riders down the road just to liven this up a wee bit.
Yeah, we are watching James Madison at the moment from Exeter Wheelers Cycling Club. So great to see representation from Exeter Wheelers as we roll along the embankment. Nice to see there's no traffic though in virtual London, Moti.
This is like lockdown. I'm sure this is exactly what it was like in lockdown. Imagine if you were riding in London a few weeks ago when the roads were actually like this. It would have been blissful, wouldn't it? And I'm sure it's not quite as quiet now.
They've had to move now out of the bike lane because you can't ride the bike lanes in London. There's too many Boris bikes or just cars parked there. But let's not get political, Moti. Let's not get political. And as we see, you've got an attack off the front. We've got an attack off the front.
It's fast. Yeah, Mr. Babbage. Mr. Babbage is going for it.
Mr. Babbage wants some airtime. Whoa, look at the beard. Hang on, let's put the picture up. See if we can make it spin. See if we can make it spin. There he is, look. There he is, spinning away. Spinning away. He's got airtime on the front. Come on, Richard. This is your moment. Come on, Richard. Look at him, absolutely fantastic. Sporting
2 seconds. 2
460,
seconds. He's gone there as well.
460.
And there's not. That's pretty good. That's 460 watts. It's a good little effort. So this is certainly not a half-arsed effort, is it? He's kind of putting some effort in. He wants to try and string this out a little bit. And what he's probably trying to do, to be fair, he's probably backing himself for this little incline up through Richmond Park, trying to dig into now and trying to dig into some of these riders' legs, create a little bit of fatigue. So when they actually go down into the Richmond Park, they've actually got some of that sustained fatigue in the legs and dropping off the back. So this is a shrewd little move by Rich. Let's just hope that he doesn't actually take too much out of his legs himself as well. Although the rain started, so they'll be cooling down.
Yeah, absolutely. They probably only wish that they were cooling down, Moti. They only wish that they were cooling down. But as we are going to be coming up, and if I'm right, mate, we're going to be taking that right-hand bend to the Richmond Park section soon. So like you say, you could be springing up, but as we can see, the peloton are now going to come and pick up Richard. But great to see Richard putting a little kick in there for Mid-Devon Cycling Club.
Absolutely. It's always good to see somebody go off the front. It's always nice if you get somebody who joins them as well, just to kind of liven things up a little bit. But there's been a few solo attacks. Nobody's really gone with any gusto as a team or 3 or 4 riders. So it'd be nice to see if that happens, certainly through Richmond or maybe afterwards as well.
Yeah, and
a really good place to attack. A really good place to attack here is to kind of, is not so much on the Richmond Park bit, is climb up the Richmond Park, go over the top, and then actually attack once you actually come out of the escalator bit, and then attack then, as people are really hoping for a bit of recovery. That's a great place to attack if you want to attack on the flat. That's a great place for a team just to launch a few riders up the road.
Absolutely. We're just watching Les Martin here from Tri UK. We've got support coming in from Darren Frost for Tri UK. So Tri UK, a rather large shop based in Yeovil, local to here. They do have a shop now up country, but as we can see, Moti, we've got an attack off the front. We've got a 2-up attack from Exeter Wheelers Cycling Club. Definitely team tactics going on here from A. Ward and Josh Wood. Sorry, not aware of their full names, but this is a very interesting time to attack. Now we're going to approach the London Underground. We're going to go downhill, very steep. We're going to take a left-hand bend, and we're very soon going to be onto the only section where it's possible to kind of break away. It does need a consistent pull, but as we can see, team tactics played very much well here with Exeter Wheelers Cycling Club. Now look at the peloton behind Moti, strung out, all the way strung out. So now if these guys, looks like we've got a flat wheel case from Ward, a drop out there straight down to 0 watts, that hopefully he can get up and get into the peloton behind. As we follow, James Brown is now taking up the lead at the front as we continue going through the tunnel here.
That was a great little attack by the Exeter Wheelers, sending 2 of them up the road, really stringing that front group up. We can already see riders dropping off the back before we even hit Richmond Park. So that was a good tactic move. Such a shame for Alan that he had a little bit of a drop out there and is going to move down to the back. So hopefully he can get some recovery time, hang on the back, and be able to stay on through the park, because that was a really brave little move that he made with James.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're just going to approach. So where we're approaching now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to approach the bottom of the what is the Box Hill climb on Swift, but we're not actually going to take a right and go to Box Hill. We're going to take a left, which takes us over the link road as Moti described earlier. And it is a bit of an incline, nothing too steep, but with the pace that they've been going, it's certainly going to be hill. Now you can see the line here, this is the start of the Box Hill climb. Attacks are going to come now, and if they can sustain it, I do expect some team tactics to be taking place here. The drops will be able to happen. As you can see, Travis Bramley been playing a very active role in the racing, straight up to 8.2 watts per kilogram, up on the front, supporting the flat cap Moti. He knows these courses.
Oh yeah, Travis is a well-experienced swifter as well, and I reckon he's got a good block of ice under that flat cap of his. It seems to be bulging at the top, so I reckon he's got a bit of a block of CO2 in there just to kind of cool him down. But Travis is, you know, that flat cap is his trademark. He must be boiling in that there today, but he's up there with the front 10. So I think this is going to.
Travis and Alid.
Sorry, Liam.
No, Travis and Alid up the front pushing. It's a familiar sight for us over the past of definitely Series 1, but as we can see, damage is being done behind. We can see 4 to 5 seconds gap now. Let's just move back into racing here, try and find our Mr. Charlie dangling off the back. Let's put rider cam on Moti. Let's try and see if he's suffering. There he is, look, out the saddle, cycling. Give him a wave, Moti, give him a wave. Come on, cheer him on. Come on, Charlie.
Come on, Charlie. Come on, Charlie.
He's just losing that back wheel. You can see orange numbers on the right hand, 8 watts per kilogram. Just trying to get onto the back wheel. But come on, Charlie.
Oh yeah,
come on, Charlie.
He just needs to get on the back. He just needs to get a wheel in front of him. He just has to chase that down, close that gap, get in the draft again, and then recover. Don't recover too early, Charlie, because you'll drop off. Make sure you close that gap.
But as we can see, Alid and Travis still pushing it on the front. Peloton coming in just in behind, but it goes up again. The riders are going to be feeling this now. And if I'm right, Moti, this is when we take the right-hand bend. It does kind of drag out again. It's not over yet, is it?
Not at all. That you kind of think, oh, great, that climb bit's over. Then you have this tiny little descent where you get a tiny little bit of recovery. And then before you know it, it's going up again. You think, oh, when is this going to end? And this is the bit that really tends to sap things. This is where we see a lot of riders dropping off. So this is a great place to attack as riders start to fatigue. So Blake there is doing exactly that. He's pushing off the front, trying to stretch his group out, trying to drop some more of these riders to bring that peloton down as small as possible for the sprint finish.
Yeah, Blake riding for no pins. I was actually at no pins earlier, and Blake was asking for some tactics on this course. So great to see Blake putting that into context. Working on the front there with Oscar Hutchins from Team Tour 2000. So great to see these two working together. Again, Blake, a very, very popular time trials in the Southwest. So he's able to get that high power and sustain it and happily sit in threshold. So 174 beats per minute. Blake's going to be feeling comfortable. He can sit there for quite a while. We can see Ali coming over again, 3.4 watts per kilogram, but not surprised if he goes right to the front and the push is on through. But remember, we're going to be coming in through here again for a second time. This is a longer course than what we're used to in these British Cycling Southwest series. But Charlie was wondering if we should just put the 1, but I said let's go for 2. Next week we're on for about a 40-minute race. So I said let's punish them this week.
2 laps is great because with 2 laps you do have to play that tactics a bit more. You can't just smash it up all of these climbs and try and break it down and go for the sprint finish. You just have to conserve some energy because it's so easy to put in the attacks in these climbs, get under the second lap and find that second time up. Everyone else has been sitting in your draft waiting to attack and leaving you for dead, and that does happen on quite a few occasions. So this is where maybe this is why the averages have been a bit lower, but this front group's whittled right down now. We're now down to 21 riders in this front group, so it is slowly coming down.
We've just had a message coming from Mark Brownlee, so I'm guessing that's a relative. Don't know if it's a father or whatnot, but it said, I've just checked under Travis's flat cap and I can confirm that the bulging is due to his hair and no sign of any blocks of ice. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be suffering, Moti. Pretty sure he's going to be suffering.
Excellent. I'm glad. I'm sure he'll have beautiful cap hair when he comes off that bike. It'll be a joy to behold.
And as we can see, we have just got is it an extra wheeler as we just moved back here, just ever so slightly dangling off the back. Oh, he's back in, so we're all okay there now. And as we approach, we're coming down now. So we're gonna come down this section. We're gonna take a left-hand bend, and we're gonna go back in towards the London Underground section before we go up a steep ramp, Moti. So it'd be interesting to see if we're gonna get any sprints coming out of that out of the tunnel here.
Absolutely, and this is one bit, so that people will be realising this. It'll be interesting for anybody who doesn't know this course will get absolutely caught out by this little bit. Anybody who's ridden this course before on Zwift will realise that when you hit that escalator out of the tunnel, you absolutely smash it up there like a full-on, full-gas sprint, get to the top, try and hold it over the top and cling on. So anybody that hasn't done this lap before will almost certainly lose touch with the back of the group.
Yeah, and as we can see, we're just coming through here Charlie. Let's put the cam back on. Let's see him sprint up this hill. 139 beats per minute, so currently feeling quite comfortable, I'd say there. Tempo, top end of base tempo, but as we can see, some have already started sprinting already. This is the section we're going to take the left here, and we can already see going up the panel. So let's go in level with Charlie. So in level, here we go. Charlie's going 526 watts. We can see him on the cam there, out the saddle sprinting 8 watts per kilogram. All the orange numbers on the side, Moti. Tell us about the numbers.
Look at the orange numbers. The orange, I can't remember when the orange numbers, I think it's 8 watts per kilogram, is it? But the orange numbers really do show that, yeah, putting the gas down. So it's a really good indicator, and it's actually a really useful thing if you're actually riding in a race as well. Because if you see the rider next to you suddenly hitting orange numbers, you know they're going to be taking away from you. So it's a great visual cue, but it's great for us to see all of the riders going up that escalator were pushing orange numbers just to try and hold up the group. And exactly what we could see, the riders are pushing over the top, creating gaps. So we now have a very clear split in this front pack.
Yeah,
Will they close it up?
Travis and Alid again. So off the top, Moti, we got a group of 5 riders here, 5 strong riders. So that we do have a gap of 4 seconds. Now, 4 seconds is only a small amount of time, but if these riders are able to work together, and 4 strong riders, they could maybe hold this. We are going to, as we go through, not the finish line of this race, but what we deem as the normal finish line for racing on London, you get a slight raise in elevation. So on Swift, they do need to use every little bit of incline to make that, just to make that snap behind. But as we can see, Moti dragged out all the way along down there. So if we can get repeated attacks here, like we see Travis moving to the front again, 5.5 watts per kilogram, the riders behind will start to feel it and not be able to make the move across. And as we see, Moti, that is exactly what's happening. Fragmenting behind, and we are going to lose some riders here, I think. If we can continue this push on the front, Josh Gray taking it up now, 5.5 watts per kilogram. So it looks like they're starting to learn how to race on Swift and use the racing dynamics, or as we call it, the gamification of Swift to make people hurt. And we can see they are going to be starting to fall off the back. They need to attack again as we go through this section up this incline.
Absolutely, and that front 5 that we're actually putting in that attack, were 4 of those were actually currently sitting in the top 10 at the moment. So Travis was there, Ben was there, Alid was there, Oscar was there, and Ollie was there. So there was 5 of them there, all pushing it there, all pushing that pace, and that's one of the reasons why it is splintered, because we had 5 riders really pushing that pace and making the riders behind suffer, and we can see that as riders start to drop off the back now.
Yeah, unless we're just having a little look, so it does look like we've lost P. Hughes, we've lost Charlie, unfortunately he's off the back now, we've lost James Madison from Exeter Wheelers Cycling Club. So the pace obviously is hard through there, and riders struggling in the heat, Moti.
And this is only lap 1. They've got to do this again. They've only just finished. They've only just gone past the finishing line as well. Actually, with this course,
it's not the finishing line, is it, on this course?
No, that's right. I just remember this is one of those annoying courses where you think, right, I'm going to do the Surrey Hills or I'm going to do the park, and I just pass that little finishing line, just past the pens there, and then you suddenly remember that you've got to continue all the way around to the red carpet area before you actually finish on the reverse sprint. And that it's just demoralizing for if you're not really mentally prepared for that, to realize that you've got at least another 5k or so to go before the finish line. Done that many a time, Liam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was racing in a 3R race last night, and it was on the London Loop, which takes in Box Hill, so the hill that we're not doing on here, 2 of them, and then it was the after party, so an uphill finish on the Box Hill. Now, Moti, you probably know this because you are a Swift geek. I'm not too embarrassed to tell you. You know Swift inside out. But what I got caught out on, Moti, just like you've been explaining, on the Box Hill after party, it doesn't finish at the monumental uphill finish by the National Trust CAF. It finishes ever so slightly before on the right-hand bend, and I didn't know that, Moti, and I got caught out, and fair to say that I was a little bit angry.
Yeah, that is sometimes one of those annoying little idiosyncrasies of Swift. Sometimes the course is on distance, so very often if they just haven't quite got that distance bang on, then the finishing line might be in front or sometimes behind the actual finishing line. So sometimes you time your sprint for the finishing line, realize you got another couple 100 yards to go before you actually hit the finish of the race. But last night, as you rightly said, the finishing line was actually in front, so people were actually starting to leave their attack far too late, and the finishing line was there before you even had the chance to do it. And this is why looking at the distance counter on the top of the screen. So at the top of the screen there, we can see those metrics about what the ride is. So we can see the speed, the distance you've traveled, the altitude, as well as the time. And if you're actually riding, you'd actually see how far you've got left to go in this particular ride. So with these particular rides, sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. It's looking at that, how distance you've got left to go to the finish line to actually be able to time your sprint, particularly if you don't know the course and you haven't picked out the tree, the lamppost, the bus stop, the lady with the shaggy dog to launch your sprint.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, just looking, maybe we started off with 59, and due to the conditions outside and also the racing, etc., we're down to 19 in this front pack.
Wow, that's not really a surprise, and I think we will see this whittle down even more because there's been some good attacks in that first lap. It'd be interesting to see if anybody decides to launch any attacks in this second lap.
Yeah,
but I do think my prediction is we'll see a finishing pack of 10 riders to smash out the sprint. That's my prediction, Liam.
Well, as we can see, we're going to be moving down to this section again now, where we take the right-hand bend and we push up again. This is, like we said it before, on this course today, it's long, it's flat. There's only a couple places to be able to put people in that pain, and this is one of them coming up. We're going to take the right-hand bend down here, and it is quite a steep. Only short, but quite a steep. Now, it'll be interesting to see if anyone's going to make a big attack and go up and over. I'll be looking for Travis and Aled to be the ones to initiate it, and even Blake Pond. So we're currently watching Blake Pond. You want to start kicking now on about Swift. You always want to kick slightly earlier on Swift to get to get those get the power up going through. But as we see, we move through here. Then let's see who's going to kick. So we can see Aled straight up to 10 watts per kilogram, 713 watts. Again, he knows this platform inside out now. Been racing it for a fair while. As we can see, Team Tour 2000 joining him. St. Piran there. Orange numbers on the right side. They know that they need to push this, and they need to continue pushing it up over the top, just like outside. When you get to the top of that climb, don't give up. Everyone's suffering behind, so keep going up over the top. Take the left-hand bend, and let's see the plane go through. So look at it, mate. It's splitting behind. They need to keep this going on the front. Oscar Hutchins now taking on the front, 6.7 watts per kilogram. Travis Bramley, we can see it's breaking up, mate. Breaking up. So these riders now going to be biting down behind, trying to just stay in contention. But as we can see, it is stringing out. Now these guys need to keep pushing it. Travis Bramley still on the front, 440 watts, 5.5 watts per kilogram, 185 beats per minute.
Absolutely, and that was a really meaningful attack up there. So not were they only just pushing 6 or 7 watts per kilogram up there, they were hitting orange numbers. So that was a real definite dig-in attack and trying to stretch this group out. They did create a little bit of a gap. Travis has been pushing the pace on the front. It still seems very stretched out. I'm not sure whether we'll see that elastic break. I do think that it will come back together, but that will be starting to dig into some of these legs, and I'm fairly sure we'll start to see some fatigue kicking in. I wouldn't be surprised if Travis or Ollie Blagden has another go somewhere up the next little incline that we're going to come up to soon.
Yeah. Now, just while these riders are continuing riding, now unfortunately, the way that this is set up, and due to limitations of Swift that allow us to have a stream, and we're literally logged in as if we were playing the game, and just clicking down through the riders on the right hand side, that you can see we can't bring you, unfortunately, all the different categories. We can only see the A riders. So I know that you may have loved ones racing in all the other categories, be that B, C or D, but we unfortunately can't bring you pictures from their actual race. But I'm just going to pop up now the actual live results of their race. So this is their placings currently live out there. So we can see Dan Cox from Milverton Cycling Club currently on the front. But it's good to see we've got several riders out there still in the front group. Looks like it's a very similar race taking place, Moti, with riders being dropped out of the pack. But we can see Luke Reed from Pure Endurance Try in there. Lots of riders, Bridgewater Cycling Club. So if you can see them on screen there, they're definitely still racing. Let's just have a little look down. Plenty of riders. This is Group 2 and Group 3 on the road now. But great to see so many riders out there. Looks like Ruben Stacey as well up there, Moti.
Yeah, Ruben's always a good one to watch as well, being only one of the young boys. And it's great to see that in the B group we can see a couple of really teams that are really standing out is really taking this. So Exeter Wheelers again are currently leading the team standings. They've got a good few riders in that front group, but also Lugdven Cycle Club, they've got a good representation in the Bs as well at the moment. So they might be working their way up the standings depending on whether they can get some good points in the B race today.
We're now on the mall, so we're coming up past Buckingham Palace. I lost my bearings now. Buckingham Palace, we just passed it, back there. And as we come up here, we're going to go around a hairpin bend, and then make our way back down to the sprint finish, which will be the marking of lap 1. So as you know, this has been normally our normal duration for one race out here for pretty much Series 1 and Series 2, Moti, but we have thrown a longer race in there today, so we're approaching the 40-minute mark. These riders are definitely going to be able to feel it. We can see that the pace has lowered a bit out here at the moment, Moti. Pace has dropped to around sort of 4 watts per kilogram on the front, so definitely having it a little bit easier. It'd be interesting to see if there's any big attacks going to be coming soon as we ride around the front. But Travis Bramley now back on the front, putting a slight attack in, Moti. He knows there's a slight uphill section coming. 7 watts per kilogram on the front, dropping to 5 now, so he's put a gap in now 2 seconds. Moti, interesting to see if this is going to be a move.
It is indeed, and this is exactly what we saw on the front lap as well, didn't it? The first lap, that little bit downhill section, and then just as we're about to hit the sprint segment, it just climbs uphill a little bit. So again, I don't think the pack will be too worried because they saw it come together the last time. But if Travis opens this ride up a little bit, opens this gap up, there will be some looking around to see who's actually going to close them down. So whether the other top guys are going to actually put the effort in to close it down, or whether they're going to expect some of the other non-top 10 riders to actually do some work and actually pull everybody back in again.
Yeah, it does look like they're going to come back to him, but what's interesting to see is, like, again, Swift game dynamics do come into play. So if a rider wants to sort of bridge, just like outside, they need to attack off the front of the chasing peloton and make their own way across, not to drag the group across. It's just like riding outside, Moti, with the dynamics. You need to attack off the front and get across to that rider out the side. But good effort to Travis, getting some TV time there off the front.
Yeah, it's really good to see that there's little attacks, because these will, even though they don't seem to be sticking, they will be creating a little bit of additional fatigue in the rider's legs, and I'm fairly sure that we will see either the pace slow and the peloton sticks together, or things start to fragment and stretch out a little bit up some of these inclines that we're going to be seeing over the next however many kilometres.
Yeah, and as we see, we've just gone through lap 1. So give us the bell, final lap. Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ringing a bell, ringing a bell. And we've got Sadie Jones coming in saying, "Go Anna from Sis, Mum and Dad in Wales." We had a lovely story from Anna's dad. I heard this. He's saying that he's really enjoyed watching the streams, Moti. He said he's really enjoyed watching the streams and watching his son racing. That's inspired him to get back on his bike. So that's great. It's great to hear that. So thanks for tuning in every week. And Sadie, thanks for being involved in the chat. It makes mine and Moti's job even more interesting than watching these virtual riders racing. So thanks for getting involved. Feel free to make a comment, anyone, on Facebook, YouTube or Twitch. You can get hold of us. Cheer your riders on. We are whittling down the group here now, but things are going to hot up and we are going to be approaching the final run in just as we've come into the last lap.
And what's great with Aled is one of the things that we've seen with Aled is he's a very strong climber, and we've seen him attack off the front of the climbs. But this is just to show that he's not a one-trick pony. He's sitting here in this fast group with this front group, so he does have the ability to be able to hold the fast lads on the fast courses too. Does he have a sprint though? I don't think I've actually seen Aled sprint. So does he have the same amount of power the likes of Ben Miller, Travis and Blake on the final bit? Can he, or will he decide to try and shake things up a little bit, up a little bit of an incline, which we know he's already very strong at?
Yeah, Sadie's been very active on the chat, mate. She said his dad's bought a Tax Neo. I'm slightly biased, but he has bought the best turbo there, in my opinion. Best
trainer on the market, absolutely.
Yeah. We're not police here. It's not the BBC, is it? We can say different brands. We can say what we like.
Absolutely, right.
Charlie will give us a pay cut, mate. No cheese. No cheese.
Half a cheese.
Half a cheese. Half moon. But as you can see, Travis is off the front here again, Moti. We got to stop messing around, Moti. There's a race going on. 8 watts per kilogram, mate. Travis is tacking again in that flat cap. No ice under the flat cap, racing.
He is, and Travis has been very aggressive in this race today. Travis obviously is an ex-triathlete, isn't he? He's kind of an ex-Samparan rider as well, so he's got some legs behind him. But he's, again, really livening this up, this race, so he wants to whittle this group down. Whether he isn't back in his sprint with Ben Miller in the pack, who we know has got a devastating sprint, or whether he just really fancies his chances to kind of grind it out to the end.
Yeah, well, maybe he's feeling good and maybe he just wants to keep hurting. Like I say, it splinters every time. Look at that, Moti. It's dragging out behind. So, yeah, Travis Banney from Plymouth Corinthians doing a great job on the front. As you can see, riders now coming up from, we've got James Brown from Team Tour 2000, Ollie Blagden from St. Piran, all playing up the front. They're all doing their bit, Moti, and it is starting to break up behind. But they need to keep pushing off the front for it to work on Swift. They will just come back in the dynamics.
Yeah, we need these strong riders to continue to push this pace and continue to rotate the front. There's Blake taking the front, and
I was just going to
obviously
say,
Blake having.
here's one now, Blake Pond on the front. So this is what we need. And riders are dropping motive. We've got two riders just getting back on, but we do have a rider just dangling off the back there in very dodgy territory. Let's just see who it is. Cartledge, also from Plymouth.
Yeah, it's Jim.
Looks like Travis is hurt
Yeah.
his own, but he's only 1 second off, mate. He looks like he could get back on it.
Yeah, James Cartledge, who's currently lying 7th in the general standings, is he kind of had to work a little bit there to get back into the pack. And I wonder if Blake is putting in his extremely useful knowledge of aerodynamic race kits to good advantage there today on this very flat and fast course.
I should imagine he's in there in a very fancy suit. I saw his setup earlier. Blake rides a Wattbike Atom, and he's got his very, very nice Dyson fan there, so I hope it's doing a good job keeping him cool. These riders will be having lots of fans on them. I heard looking in the chat before the race, some riders having even 4 fans, Moti. I mean, that's more fans than we've got, but I'm just with the one fan, and that's my mum.
Excellent. Oh, your mum's always a fan. That's kind of the law, isn't it? Really, if your mum's not your fan, then really, she should be in prison. To be fair, but the Wattbike Atom, I don't know if you know, there's a new Wattbike Atom that's coming out as well, 2020 model.
It's released just yesterday.
It's a really popular model of smart bike that a lot of Zwifters use. But Wattbike have actually improved the Zwift functionality on it as well. So they've increased or improved the electromagnetic system. So it'd be really interesting to see how this compares with some of the other smart bikes on the market. With the Tacx Neo bike, that's the Wahoo bike there as well as the Stages. So these smart bikes seem to be slowly saturating the market. So will they take over from the smart trainers? Yet I don't know, because the cost quite high. But I'd be interested to see if any of our boys get the new Wattbike.
Yeah, it is an interesting point, mate. And if you have had a go, message in and see what's in. But I've tried the Neo bike and the Neo bike and the Wahoo bike, classic ruler, and also at a Swift meetup in Yorkshire, and I really liked them, mate. I did ride a time trial bike, and just now I've moved my road bike onto the Tacx Neo, but I wouldn't be put off getting one of those smart bikes, Moti. It just releases your frame. I mean, there's been a controversial subject about having your own bike on the turbo trainers. Personally, I don't think there's too much problem. I've got a rocker plate system set up as well, which means I've got rotation side to side, which does reduce the stress on the frame. But I do think, if you're doing a lot of riding indoors, I do think the smart bikes are worth having. You can change them to make it versatile for the whole family. And Eric Min, the CEO of Zwift, is a quote saying that he thinks in several years' time there'll be a smart bike in everyone's living room.
I think that's his goal, is to talk about smart bikes. Is this a smart move off the front by Ollie Blagden? Ollie Blagden again, who did exactly the same attack last lap, and he's doing the same thing again. He's pulling it out and stretching it out. So never mind smart bike. This might be a smart move by Ollie.
Yeah, we're on the front now here. 6.3 watts per kilogram, 424 watts, 178 beats per minute. So definitely on the top there in threshold. Watching behind me, it doesn't look like anyone's chasing across. Dodwell on the front there at 4.6 watts per kilogram, with everyone just sat in draft, and we can see that their watts per kilograms descend behind as that draft in effect does take place on Zwift. But looks like he's getting away here, Moti, increasing the lead to 6 seconds. So be interested to see if he is able to improve and keep that going.
Now, they're all looking around, looking at each other, aren't they? Because the front guys, Travis has been making some efforts as well. Blake's been in the group. Oscar Hutchins has been there as well, and he's so these front guys have done a fair bit of work trying to chase down. But this might be a smart move by Ollie, because the front guys really want to try and save some of their energy for the last bit, and expecting or hoping that some of the other boys who aren't in the top 10 to close it down. But nobody seems to be wanting to work at the minute. So Ollie is not quite riding away, but he's managed to sustain this 6-second gap to the chasing pack, who aren't chasing hard at all.
No, absolutely not. We've still got 6 seconds there on the front. And we're coming back now as we go down, coming up to 1% incline again. So they are chasing back on. 4 seconds there. Dodwell chasing again. Been on the front 5.5 watts per kilogram chasing Blagden. He's still at 5.6. Heart rate staying the same though, Moti. 178. So definitely in the threshold zone. a hold in the front, and we see that they are coming back now. 3 seconds as the group do naturally come back. Now that's a shame, Moti. I wish that a couple more riders maybe went with Blagden there and was able to sustain that. But it will be interesting to see. I do think we are going to see a fair few more attacks to come yet.
I think so, yeah. And fair play to Ollie. That was a really quite a prolonged effort he put in there. So I think what he'll do now is he'll just back off the gas, sit in the pack, gather his thoughts again, and then maybe refresh himself for another go. I've just been looking at his stats there on Zwift Power, and we can see with Zwift Power is a great thing of giving a bit of idea for us for rider profiles. It tells us really what their sprint power is, whether they're good on the flat or on the hills. But we do require riders to have a really good number of races and events under the belt to be able to get accurate figures. So it doesn't look like Ollie so far has got a very strong sprint, but he only seems to have 4 events so far on Zwift. So I'm not sure that that's accurate for him at all. Whereas we can see the likes of Ben Miller, who can smash out over 1,000 watts for 15 seconds. Aled Jones can actually smash out over 900 watts for 15 seconds. And Travis Bramley, again, over 1,000 watts. So we've got these front guys who can hit 1k watts on their 15-second power. So this is definitely going to be an explosive sprint finish without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and we're still a group of 21 on the front, Moti. I believe we're 21 on the front, so a little more than what I thought by a couple. But as we can see, we are coming along the embankment section now, so we will soon be taking that right-hand turn to go back down into the underground section where we saw that impressive attack from extra wheelers, 2 up off the front. So very much a planned attack. We do still have a couple of wheelers in the front here, so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to try that again, Moti. I would say that was effective. It did cause a bit of a panic, which would have pushed people to go off the front.
Absolutely. So there's 3 Exeter wheelers there in the front row. James Wood, who made out that first attack in the first lap, he's still there. So will he have another dig? Will he drag Jack with him, as well as Donigi, which is a great name for a southwestern, very, very southwestern Cornwall name. That is it. Donigi Benny Casa sounds very Cornish.
Cornish, yeah. Could be. I've seen very again political in a minute, but Cornwall's open again from the 4th of July, in case you were wondering, Moti.
Well,
they've opened up the borders and they're letting them back in.
Excellent. Has it been open to Geordie's yet? Because obviously it's an awful long way from it. I remember once driving down to Cornwall and it seemed to take weeks. Never mind hours.
Oh dear. But no racing yet, unfortunately, mostly of British cycling, so they're all still in their garages and their sheds.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure looking at weather outside, people will be itching to get outside, but people will be, when they do actually finally get some rubber onto tarmac, they'll be in really good shape to be able to kind of pick it up as soon as they hit the ground running. So there'll be a lot of people who have really built up the strength in this time.
Yeah, no, that is definitely definitely what's happening. You speak to any keen racer at the moment, and they're saying they're in unbelievable form, because everyone, whether they be on Zwift or they are riding out on their own or whatever, everyone's in good form, and everyone's just looking to try and put that into a race, be it a time trial or a road race or a crit.
Absolutely. At the moment, it seems to be settling down a little bit there now, doesn't it, along this bit? They're just having a wee little bit of a chat amongst themselves, just talking about the weather, wondering what they've got for tea tonight, seeing how the kids are, just checking, really asking how the Babbage's last date night went. I'm sure that's a big topic of conversation in the peloton today before they actually start hitting Richmond Park again.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right, maybe. Yeah, you are right. We're down to about a sort of tempo pace, really, in this front group now, so definitely getting a bit of recovery. I think they know what's coming. It's probably going to be the final push, mate. We got about, what do you reckon, about 20, just under 20 minutes left of this race, so I think they're just having a little reprieve here, just as they come up, like I said, towards that right-hand bend, which is coming up very soon now. And
yeah, so
I think we're going to see
about 15. Yeah, we've got about 15 kilometers, just under 15 kilometers left, and I think you're right, about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more, because the pace has been a bit slower. But I do think, looking at the pace they're going now, I am expecting to see a big attack up through Richmond Park, and then another bigger attack up the escalator again. So I wonder who will be the brave one.
Yeah, well, let's keep following through. I'm going to keep a look on Aled Jones, Travis Bramley, and also Blake Pond there. I think they'll be the ones to shake this up. They've been very popular in this race on the front. And not forgetting extra wheelers, like I say, they made the attack here last time, but we do take the right-hand bend now. This is where the wheelers went last time. Let's see, we can see the little yellow jerseys coming out through now. So we've got an attack here from Oscar Hutchins going 6.3, 6.7. I think he's probably just covering the front here, just as we come over the front. It doesn't look like we have an attack off the front just this time, Moti, but I do think it's going to go any minute now. I think the riders know what are going to happen, what to expect. But certainly by the time we reach the roundabout after the going down the escalator, we are going to see attack off the front, Moti.
Yeah, well, the Cornish Italian did have a think about it, but he didn't have any B jerseys to go with him, so we just backed off a little bit.
Yeah, and as we can see, we're just going to go down the escalator now, as you do. Kindly, they've kindly boarded that out for us, though, mate, so we could get down. And now we're going to.
I'll tell you what, if they hadn't boarded that up and he went down there with the road feel on the Neo, that would just be unbearable, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
This section itself, with the road feel on the Neo, is just unbearable.
Yeah, well.
Like a little massage.
Father Jones will be able to experience that. Going to the settings, turn road feel
Really. It's brilliant for 10 minutes, then you switch it off because it annoys the hell out of you.
Amen to that. And if it's on Richmond, don't even think about it.
Yeah, that's very true.
If
Not
I get on Richmond and I forgot I've turned off or turned on the Neo road feel, which I never do, I just log out, Moti. Just shut the computer down. That's it.
Is that before you lose all your teeth?
I just can't. Yeah, exactly. I just can't continue.
Well, they're all sticking together here, so nobody's actually started to make a move yet.
Yeah,
So they're all playing these little games. Is anybody gonna start launching orange numbers? I'm looking on the right hand side for who's gonna start launching some orange numbers any second soon.
Well, here we go.
Someone has to.
Move into the front. We got Gary Chambers. I was just going to say, Moti, have we tied them all out? But it looks like we're not. Here we go. Blagden to the front again. 7.6 watts per kilogram. Blake Pond chasing behind 5.8. The Italian Stallion in second from Exeter Wheelers.
Blagden's done a good bit of work this race, hasn't he? Him and Travis have been probably the two most aggressive riders in the whole of the ride, so it'd be great to see them try and carry this through. And it is actually starting to pull open a little bit. Whether these back markers are still can feel it or not, or whether it's starting to stretch out a little bit. I think it is going to stretch out a bit.
It is stretching, and Blagden is keeping the 6.5 watts per kilogram on the front there. Be good if a couple riders. I'm looking for maybe Alid and Travis are going to be reserving themselves ready for another attack, but looks like the pack is staying a lot closer this time, Moti. We are fragmenting a little bit, but we do need some repeat attacks, and here we go. Oscar Hutchins moving to the front. Just using that slight, we just go slightly downhill there because it illustrated up in the top right, -3% there, so he naturally moved forward without putting in the pain, but here we go, going up uphill again, 2%, so only very slight, but can definitely feel it. Adelaide now coming to the front, 7.2 watts per kilogram. I can hear the cheers from Wales, from Sadie and family, cheering Adelaide on.
Absolutely, I think Oscar did a little I do these kind of attacks, these accidental attacks, where I'm trying to hang on to the
accidental move forward. I like those, yeah. Accidental move forward.
I love me accidental attacks. They always look great, but never intended.
Exactly, it looks good. Do the old swipe of the hair, Moti, whilst you just casually move back and take a swig out of your bottle. Effortless. But let's have a little look, see who's pulling on the front. And we've got Blagden still on the front, 6 watts per kilogram, so great ride from Blagden here. 178 beats per minute, so definitely is comfortable sweet spot, I reckon, in threshold. But he's definitely going to be feeling it coming up here. But the pack is staying well together. Staying well together up here, Moti.
It is, isn't it? I was expecting maybe a little bit more effort up here than what we're seeing at the moment.
Well,
Saying that, I would say that 7.3 is a reasonable effort, to be fair.
I think Oscar Hutchins has heard you, Moti. He's now on the front for real, pushing 8 watts per kilogram, 7.6 watts per kilogram. As we got.
Or is this another one of? Is this another maybe accidental move to the front? Maybe just want some airtime. Maybe that's what it is, Liam. Maybe it's not.
This looks deliberate, Moti. I think he can hear you, and I think he's retaliating. 7 watts per kilogram now, 457 watts, 185 beats per minute. Definitely putting it. You can see splitting the pack behind now as we see Josh Gray move up from Team Tour again. So he's got support there. We've got Cartledge from Plymouth Corinthians moving up. Ben Miller from Team Tour now trying to come up towards the front at 7 watts per kilogram. So definitely starting to feel it as we move up here. See, the elevation is still only 2%, Moti, but we are losing riders off the bat. Looks like we've lost 3 riders off the bat, Moti. Let's have a little look, see if we can see who that is.
just that natural attrition, isn't it? As the fatigue just kind of kicks in, your legs just kind of you're willing your legs to go on, but they're just that lactic buildup. They just can't push the power. And I think that was a little cheeky little fake move by Oscar Hutchins, and he put the real attack in there, splintering the group down and knocking 3 off the back. I don't think these guys are going to get back in again, and this is the pack I think that's going to take it to the end.
Yeah, we are looking at the selection group now, as we see just Solid naturally moving to the front through experience, but we have slowed down again, mate. I do think the riders are suffering out there in the heat and finding the fatigue, and I don't blame them for that, but we are only riding along here at sort of 3.5 to 4 watts per kilogram, and on a normal day, let's call it, you would be seeing an all-out attack here. I've suffered along here many times at a savage pace, so I do think the riders are definitely feeling the heat today, and that is playing a part in today's race.
Every time I suffer along here, every single time, which is great. Adds to the fitness, and it's always good to suffer. You always feel better for suffering.
Absolutely, it's not a nice section along here. You can definitely feel it, but we are going to be approaching that escalator section now. So we are going to come down here, take a left turn, and as we go back into the underground section, we'll be taking a right, and we'll be going up the escalator. Cartilage now.
So who's got the legs to hit? Who's got the legs to hit the orange numbers this time? Has anybody got the legs to hit the orange numbers and really put an attack? Are we going to see a push over the top like we did last time? Travis pushing over the top after the first lap. Are we going to see anybody really take the attack early on, push over the top, and create a split again? Or are these riders going to just tootle up, stay as a pack, and back their own sprint? I reckon. I'm sincerely hoping that somebody just takes it on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Certainly interesting to see. As we said, we're moving in now through the underground. Obviously got a leaky roof, Moti, because it's raining inside the underground. Maybe because they put the ply boards down through the roof. But as we see, we're moving on to the front here now with Gary Chambers, and we're very soon going to be taking that right and going up the sprint section.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see. I reckon there'll be some orange numbers coming up here. Who's going to be the one who's going to launch them up to the top? Is it going to be Aled? Is Aled going to be using his climbing prowess to kind of launch this group up to the top of the escalator?
So here we go then, up the escalator. Like I say, you want to be always attacking slightly early on this on these sections, but you see, wow, look at that, Moti. Orange numbers on the right hand side. We're on the front here with Oscar Hutchins. Doesn't look anyone's passing as he's pushing out up over 500 watts, but everyone's staying behind. I think they are fatigued out here, Moti. They can feel that we've pushed them longer, but it does look like we've got ever so bit of a tiny split on the front. You can see it's slightly dragged out there, but I think they will bring that back unless there's repeated attacks off the front now.
Yeah, and there is, and we can see that. We can see them. We can see a couple of riders really trying to maintain that pace up the front there. Looks like Travis is one of them. Is it pushing the pace up the front?
Yeah, I just coming up front. We've got Travis there and Blackton. All the riders.
We've got all the big names there, and we're now actually starting to catch some of the other riders, aren't we, on the pit?
Absolutely, it's making my life hell now, Moti. I've got too many riders to click through, but we're back in now. We're on Ben Miller from Team Tour, so as we come through this section now, yeah, we can see we have caught riders, and we are going to approach the unofficial finish, Moti. The unofficial finish.
Yeah, this is where I always wanted to finish. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely. By now, look, we've just clocked over the hour, Moti, 47.7k. Be interested to see if we think any riders are going to finish here. So it'd be interesting to see if we get any phantom attacks, Moti. I think a couple probably will underestimate that there is. This won't be the finish.
It'd be interesting if anybody's been paying attention.
And we're going to go straight up through, and we are going to approach the section where, again, there is just ever so slightly bit of elevation. So again, be interesting to see if anyone makes use of that, put in the attack. But no, it all looks like they watched their rider profile sheets and they've on the course profiles, and it looks like we all are rolling over again now in the sedate pace. We're riding at that 3.5 sort of tempo pace. So I think the riders, like we say, they are feeling it out there, and they know that the sprint's coming up in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, this is going out to the sprinters. And looking back at the B group, so we've got a big group of Bs as well behind this. So a big peloton of Bs and this behind this, again dominated by the Exeter Wheelers and also Lugven Cycling Club, with the top riders still in there. Dan Case still in there. He's currently leading the B group. He's in that front group as well. So it's good for Dan. And there's actually quite a big group there in there. So this again, the Bs are probably going to be the same, trying to take it down to a sprint finish.
Turn to the front here. You can see that we are just still rolling along. There's a few people just putting some slight attacks in, as we can see. We up in the right hand corner on that mini map, we've got 2%, but it's not going to go anywhere, Moti. I mean, I don't want to speak too soon. We definitely will see an attack go up the that rise that we know is coming up, as we see Blagden slightly off here at the front. But I think we are going to be looking at a sprint finish, Moti.
I think so, unless somebody gets really brave and puts up a big attack up that last little climb and really starts smashing it up, then tries to sustain it around the mall, because that's where the riders are going to be starting to ramp up ready for the sprint. So it'll take a brave rider to really smash it off the front, maybe sacrifice the sprint. But these riders know what they're good at. These riders know whether they can sprint or not. So we may well see somebody who knows they haven't got a strong sprint just back themselves and try and split this pack up and go for broke.
Coming through now, the under passage through here. Before we take the right turn, we've got Will Face coming in saying bring it home. North Devon Wheelers. Not sure if we've got any North Devon Wheelers still in the front of the A group, have we, Moti?
I don't think so.
North Devon Wheelers, very popular cycling club coming out of Barnstable in North Devon. So thanks for taking part. Let's have a look at the team list again, though, Moti. But yeah, thank you to every one of you for taking part in this series. It is obviously better with you taking part, and so many teams, Moti. This is happening all around the country from every district of from British Cycling, and we're putting up a great show here in the Southwest.
And we're putting a great show. And even though I'm up in the northeast, it's great to be part of this Southwest. And I can see that there's a couple of riders from the North Devon Wheelers. Phil Lay, looks like he's the highest placed North Devon Wheeler at the moment, currently riding in 94th at the moment. And I can actually see Joe James, one of the A riders. He's currently sitting in 69th, just mixing it around with the Bs. So he's out of the running for this front group, but he looks like he's the highest placed North Devon Wheeler at the moment. But we can see lots of Tour 2000, San Paran, Exeter Wheelers, the Ludvan, all of the teams who are really pushing this at the top, and that does seem to reflect the team standings at the moment.
Yeah, no, it'd be great to see. And who have we got in here that you've got the statistic, Moti? Who you put in your 20p on from last week carried forward on the sprint?
Well, I was caught out last time, wasn't I? So I didn't back Ben really, and I think Ben's been in a good position now. Ben has been really quiet in the pack. He hasn't been putting it off the front. He hasn't been doing the pulling. We know Travis has got a great sprint, but he's done a lot of work off the front. Aled hasn't got such a strong sprint. Blake has got a good sprint as well, but he's been doing some work off the front. So you never know. Ben might be playing a nice quiet game, sitting in the pack, conserving his energy, ready to launch a devastating 1,000 plus watts as we come onto the mall. So I'm going to back Ben this time after he called me out last week.
Yeah, okay, no, I think you could be right there, Moti, but it's definitely up for grabs from anyone who's feeling like they've reserved the legs and able to got 4 fans plus, Moti? 4 fans plus.
Absolutely. 4 fans plus, absolutely. And it would be interesting to kind of see if the rider with the lowest wattage wins this race. As they always say, win the race with the lowest potential effort you could put out.
See, we are approaching now the right hand. It's not a turn, I'd say it's a bend as we go up towards Trafalgar Square, but it's coming right up, Moti. Let's see if anyone starts to go a little bit early. I'm expecting orange numbers, and it'd be interesting to see if people attack over the top. We did drop a couple last time, but obviously with this being a selection group now, they're all going to be rather strong. So let's see if anyone attacks it off the front of you. See Blagden again, Moti. 7 watts per kilogram as he pushes up towards the front.
I was wondering whether Aled might put a little dig up here with his climbing prowess, but he doesn't seem to be hitting the front. But he may put in a late burst at the top to try and create a little bit of a gap. But we can see this front group splintering again, starting to stretch out, and I think we might. Actually, are we going to see it snap, or people are going to hold on? Blake's clinging onto the back there, really struggling to. He's back in again there now. Well done, Blake. But yeah, that was working hard to stay in that group there, everybody.
Yeah, no, it does look like the group had managed to go up there at all. So it does look like we're on for a sprint finish, Moti. Now, this section always feels long. We are really, really, really close to the finish now, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to slightly go down here and take a right-hand turn. But this, Moti, always feels a long way out to me. Now, these riders have got to be careful here, Moti, off the back. This goes downhill, but it's a fast section, so they need to stay in that draft, or else they will get away off the front. But I think they'll be all right. But you can see those slight gaps opening, and any form of gap, can be dangerous.
We're in the last 3K now, so as you rightly said, if you just try and back off too much through there, as Di Costello is just doing it there back there from MCCC, he's just had to work a little bit to get back in the group again. So if you do just take it too easy, you can't drop off the back. And as we turn right along the flat, heading towards the mall, this is where you can, completely ruin your race by just backing off far too early on that downhill section. So we've now got just over 2.5, well, just about 2.5K to go. Is anybody going to go early? And I think we can see some people trying to push it early.
Yeah, it is definitely stringing out. We've got Josh Gray here from Team Tour 2000, just behind a couple other riders that I don't think are taking part in the Southwest race, but they definitely are playing a part, and they are all power riders looking for that little lightning bolt in the name, so it's interesting to see. But yeah, Tat's coming from the front, from the Spaniard on the front. Again, not involved in our race, but he is causing some damage in this, effectively in the race that everyone else is playing in the season. But as you can see, Josh Gray now from Team Tour 2000 on the front, 171 beats per minute, so in that threshold state, 340 watts. I reckon Team Tour will have, they've been riding a few prestige races on Swift over the past couple of weekends, Moti. So I think they are going to be finely tuned with some team tactics. It'll be interesting to see if we're going to get any sort of lead-out formation for Ben Miller, or if anyone else will be able to do a solo ride, a sort of cab style clinch onto the back. Be interesting to see.
Indeed, because Josh has actually had a quiet race as well. We haven't seen Josh off the front as much as what we have done in races gone by. So maybe the game for Tour 2000 has been to sit in all the way to the end and back the man on the sprint. That may be what their tactic has been for this race, but we will see whether it pays off. And if that's the case, in only about 1 kilometre time.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we are, passing Buckingham Palace. Good evening, ma'am. As we go past, going up there, we're going to go up to the hairpin, and then we're going to come down and go to that sprint finish, matey. Now, again, like I said, always feels long, mate. Always feels long. But where do you normally go? We take the bend? Do you normally start straight away, or do you wait until that final left? It's interesting. I'm not sure how this is going to go, mate, but I think the riders are going to be fatigued out there tonight. 1 hour 10 minutes they've been racing for. I think we could see this a very sort of I wouldn't say slow, but a sedate shuffle towards that left-hand bend, and I think we'll see a long kick then, Moti, but I don't think we're going to see anything before then. As I say that, Oscar Hutchins now trying an early attack off the front, 615 watts, 180 beats per minute, 8.9 watts per kilogram.
It's the classic 1K launch, isn't it? So he's gone just inside with 1 kilometre to go, really trying to stretch his pack out. He's really going to put that effort in, try and back his sprint. Normally, I'm a bit of a late builder with my sprint, so I tend to go a little bit earlier and build the sprint up. But
5, 6 seconds, open up to 7 seconds, 8 seconds. The riders behind not chasing. We've got the Spaniard on the front now, who's not in our race, but pushing 7 watts per kilogram to try and bring that back. Blagden now from St. Piran trying to bring it up. We've got Blake Pond there as well. I think he could hold on to it. Still a long way to go, but 8 seconds, Moti. He's not faded. 7.3 watts per kilogram as the pack are still 8 seconds behind.
No, he's not fading at all. He's still managing to hold 7+ watts per kilogram down this section. He's only got a little way to go now.
Turn this left, and he can see the finish now. Just look at it there, beautiful in all its glory. The finishing line, and as we see the pack now coming right behind, chasing. Still 7 seconds, Moti. Still 7 seconds.
Yeah, they're not close enough. I think Oscar's got this. So that was a really clever surprise launch by Oscar going with
200 metres to go. We can see the riders chasing now behind. Aled Jones sprinting, Moti. Take a picture quickly. You called this earlier, not got a sprint in 2 seconds to go. Aled Jones coming past.
Oh, is he going to hold on? Is he going to hold it?
Ben Miller. I'm going to call it Ben Miller, Aled, and then Oscar Hutchins rolling over in third. But what a fantastic finish, Moti.
What a finish. Oscar must be absolutely kicking himself, because the effort he put in there with just about 1K to go, I think we all thought that was 8 seconds that pack made up in that final section. Ben Miller at one point was putting out 15.4 watts per kilogram on the front of that pack, so he wasn't even sitting in the draft chasing down. He was the man at the spearhead trying to chase down Oscar. I really couldn't call that.
No, but let's just take a look at the preliminary results on Swift Power. It does have it as Ben Miller came round in the first place. Aled Jones in second. Fantastic sprint there, going up to 13 watts per kilogram. It does say Blake Pond made it in third place with a few other riders behind. So these are provisional results, ladies and gentlemen. These are yet to be finalised by the power at Swift Power. and also at 3R Race Control. So these are provisional results, so don't take it for gospel. These would all be finalised, and Charlie will reveal them on the British Cycling Southwest page.
What a fantastic finish. I really wasn't expecting it to go down to that solo break 1k to go and then the pack to chase it down, but I think that just inspired the pack to really dig in hard, because I thought at one point they thought, we let him go. Then the tide turned. They started to put their orange numbers in, and then they actually closed it down unbelievably quickly from 8 seconds to 0 in a fraction of a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. But next week we are back, same time, same place, and we're going to the Figure 8 in the World of Autopia, Moti.
Oh, it's a great course. That's a great race course. So that's a really nice course. Up and down, up and down, up and down. This is going to split the pack up, and we are going to see loads and loads of action in all of the categories and all of the riders at the Figure 8 course. So it should be good next week.
Yeah, absolutely. But thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Please comment, pass on your appreciation for the riders riding at severe 30 degrees temperatures in their pain caves, wherever that might be, their garden shed, their garage, or their bedroom. We'll see you next week. Cheers, Moti.
Cheers, Liam. Great result again. Excellent ride.